Now let's talk to Obiora Amadu, who is the chairman, export group at the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, someone who is involved in the industrial manufacturing sector of our economy. Good morning, sir. Thank you very much for coming.
Good morning, boss.
We appreciate that. Each time, those of you who are in the non-oil sector hear what's going on in the oil sector, you seem somehow... How do you feel about the fact that there's so much talk about non-oil sector as well? Everybody's saying, yes, let's do it, let's do it, let's do it. Are we doing it?
I do not think we're doing it. And the little we're doing, we're not doing right. Of course, you probably are aware of the recent ban of some food items going into Europe. These are the issues. We are the largest producer of about 6 or 7 products in the whole world. But the fact is that for most of the products, we're not even listed on the export listing. I think something has been wrong with our strategy. As this new government is trying to strengthen governance, there's need to also strengthen the non-oil sector.
When we talk about the non-oil sector, what part of it are we really talking about? Is it agriculture, or is it industrial manufacturing? Is it services? Is it everything?
It's actually everything. Solid minerals inclusive, agriculture, services, and manufacturing. But of course, if you take a look at the country, you look at what, you know what our manufacturing state is. So right now, our strength still lies in agriculture. And also, if we are able to move a little further to semi-processed and processed.
Which is agribusiness.
Exactly.
Beyond food.
Exactly. So these are the issues. I think from a policy point of view, even the agro raw material that we're shipping, you have 6 items that have been banned. In 2014, it was about 24. That's the UK alone. So there are institutions that are responsible for checking these products before they go out. Actually, there are 2 steps. First of all, the Federal Produce Inspection Service, who is responsible for fumigation and also the issuance of fumigation certificate. Now, beyond these people, there's also, it was Cobalt, that's a private inspection agent, that the last point before the goods go out. And yet, after passing through these places, these things are still rejected.
There are issues that the Standard Organization of Nigeria had talked about over time. We don't have enough scientific laboratories to work on this.
Absolutely.
There are also issues with exporters, some folks in your group who, after sending samples that are genuine, at the time there's a formal order from overseas, what they supply does not match the quality.
Well, let me say, not from my group, because we are a very close group, and it's a group of people who understand what this exporting. I cannot chair a group where someone will deliberately ship bad items.
Have you heard that as a piece of news? That some exporters do ship below quality goods?
Of course, I've had. I've actually seen. I used to be a banker on the export desk. I've seen that happen. But the point is that these very few people are the ones causing the nation this pain. But that is from the fraudulent side. But the point of making sure that the chemicals are at the level, at acceptable level, as set by international standard. You were talking about laboratories. Aflatoxin, for example, which is a major issue with a couple of our produce, cannot be tested in Nigeria at the moment. You give that to inspection agent, they will have to send it out and all that. And these things are not rocket science. There's also an equipment called gamma radiation, which is being used elsewhere in the world. So even with the way these goods are, if you pass it through the gamma radiation, it will automatically meet the standard that is required because it dries up those chemicals and gets it to an acceptable level. There's no single one in the country as we speak. And then we have less than 12 months to be able to meet EU standards. So I don't know what is being done at the government level, but this is, it needs to be a strong private-public coalition to fight this. Because before you know it now, the US will also ban, some other people will also ban, and at that point, this diversification we're talking about will die a stillbirth.
In terms of, let's drill it down, because yes, we'll call on President Buhari to do it, but which ministry and government agencies is responsible for this problem we have with this part of the non-oil sector we're talking about?
Okay, let's agriculture. The Federal Produce Inspection Service that issues fumigation certificates is from the Ministry of Agriculture. Cobalt and the private inspection service is under the control of Federal Ministry of Industry, Trade and Industry. So these very two. Of course, the Export Promotion Council has responsibility for promoting Nigeria exports as well as some level of development of the export.
Who regulates that? Is it the NEPC or the Ministry of Trade and Investment?
It is the ministry. The NEPC does not regulate, does not have any direct relationship here. It's to promote. So it's the ministry
of Trade, Investment, and Industry.
Exactly. Because if we strengthen that, because the issue is that why did we start having private inspection? It was because at some time, I think it was about 2000 or 2002,
yes,
the whole world rejected Nigeria cashew nuts.
Mm-hmm.
So government had to do something.
The private inspectors.
Exactly. But I don't think those people, recently they have expanded it, they brought in new ones. I do hope that they will be able to do justice to it. Because the point is that even the figures that these very PSIs are giving to the government has a wide difference from what international agencies like ITC is reporting. So it means there's a lot of work that needs to be done at that very particular point if we want to get it right.
Okay. From what you explaining, it looks like we're doing a lot on the ground from local companies that are within your export group.
That's right.
However, at the government level, because if I produce cashew, for example, I've got to go through some government agencies to be able to put it on a ship.
That's right.
And freight it out of the country. It goes to wherever in Europe and all that. So, so at that point is where we have problems right now, is
That's right. That's it.
Now, do we have anything that the Exim Bank is doing, for example, in this regard, or the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, in terms of interfacing with this ministry and relevant agencies within the Ministry of Trade and Industry to get this resolved?
Well, Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, they have a man export group. Of course, in NASIMA, you also have an export group. In Lagos, which is the biggest chamber in the country, you have an export group. I think there's need for a coalition.
Which you don't currently have.
There's non-existing as we speak.
So all of you guys are working at different purposes, trying to achieve the same thing.
NASIMA being the national chamber, need to push this. Get all these export groups together. There's a lot of advocacy to be done. If the exporter doesn't export, government will not get the foreign exchange. So we need to do something and do it fast. The Minister of Agriculture should be on its toes right now, because it's on record that EU said they sent 50 alerts to the country before they took that decision. UK, in their own case, said they sent about 15 alerts about a particular product.
Which was a warning.
It was beans, which was warning. Rejection alert. Look, this is not up to. And then that happens 1, 2, 3, 50 times, and yet nothing is done. I think, you know, the challenge with the public sector is that there's no key performance indicator. People are not judged by any standard.
These alerts were sent this year or last year?
Since 2013.
Uh-oh.
Since 2013. It was not a 6 months thing. So I think that it's about, these things are not rocket science. It's about just settling down, putting the right people in the right places, people who will insist on things being done.
Let me ask this. Does it have to do, therefore, with equipment, machinery, or technology? Or does it have to do with people? Does it have to do with skill, with lack of investment, or what?
I think skill is part of it. I think also equipment. For example, we talked about the gamma radiation. I'm not sure that a lot of people who are even involved know about this equipment, which is currently being used. A member of our group brought that matter up. He exports food items to the US. And he said, look, something needs to be done about this thing, because with all those fumigation things, once you pass those items through this very equipment, it goes free and it will be accepted at the other end. I'm not sure. I don't know whether at the Federal Ministry of Agriculture level, they are aware that that machine exists. So I think there's need for all of us to sit down together. The advocacy job is very serious now, because we have up to June 2016, Europe is giving us. And it will be sad that that time comes and we're still the way we are.
And that June 2016 will likely be a total closure
window
against Nigeria for exporting goods to Europe.
That's it. That's it, and that will be bad. Of course, you know that the EPA issue is still hanging.
Oh yeah, yes.
So
yeah,
all this could also be playing a role in this whole thing. So that is it. Really, these things I keep telling people that exporting is a process. It's not a transaction. That's where the issue is. Success in export is through the staircase. No elevators. That's where the challenge. If people know. I mean, if you see how plantains and bananas are being treated in the distance, but see what our neighbors are doing with plantain and banana. We're on the same belt. They don't have a better quality than we have. So it's a whole lot of things.
Yeah, surprising you're taking banana and plantain from Cameroon, and it's going to Europe every day, but you don't get it. Yeah.
It's really shocking. But we are the largest producer, actually. Lagos State is the largest producer of coconut in Africa. It's a whole, we can talk about cassava and the rest of them and the rest of them. In fact, it gives me headache. I really don't know. I don't know where we will start. I don't really know who will champion this, but there is danger because right now, expectation is that the non-oil export will augment our earnings from
the oil sector.
But if what is happening now continues for a while, then this diversification will be. So government needs to really, I don't know, declare an emergency in this very particular direction and do something fast.
In the
products are there.
Sector.
Yes. The products are there. The products are there. Some of the people who are exporting, it's not really their fault. They store these very things that happen at the last point of fumigation.
Before you go into the ship.
Exactly. So if I am an exporter who is not educated, I have my products, I don't fumigate. Those who will fumigate and issue fumigation certificate. That's if they do.
That's at government agencies.
Yes.
Yes,
the FEIS. That's if they do. It is from there the product goes. When they say the 0.01 is the maximum level allowed, then you are having 0.03, you have 0.08.
They're gonna. You won't even offload it at.
Yeah, you know the problem. The problem is that we are talking export. What are the health implications? Because we're all eating beans here, probably passing through the same process.
I don't want to think about that. I don't want to think about it. You've scared us enough.
I'm sorry, but that's the true situation.
You've scared us.
But the fact again is to say it is not rocket science. There's no Nigerian way of flying a Boeing 737. We just have to do things
internationally.
They ought to be done. This is a global, we all know we're in.
No, I like the analogy. And thank you for this conversation. We appreciate it. There's no Nigerian way to fly a Boeing 737.
Yeah.
There's only one way to fly.
One way.
Any other way, we know where it's going.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for coming. We appreciate this time. Thanks for those alerts that you sent to the government this morning here on the program. Obi Ramadu is the chairman export group at the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry. And that warning is there already.